going to talk about our future city. If somebody wants to say smart, we'll assume that they mean all the definitions. There's about 20 of them that are reasonably credible for smart. There's intelligent, there's resilient, there's sustainable, and so on. So let's just sort of say we mean all of those things around our future city. I just want to, the word rethink has been talked about and is part of the theme. Rethink, we have to change the way we change. Oh, isn't that interesting? Change the way we change, and we'll talk about why. And the third phrase is future-proof. So anything we're doing, do as much as you can to future-proof it because it's all going to change anyway. The reason I had put sort of oops at the top was, gosh, we may not wait 20 years for the next big step because there's so much going on right now. It may be that quantum really comes along in 20 years and gets going. But it's all of those things that were alluded to earlier that are also leading now to what we're calling the smart city revolution. It's $1 trillion business already, and it would be the world's 12th largest city or country, just in terms of that money.
Buildings are one of the component parts of any city, smart or otherwise. And so I think we need to look at the way we create buildings to support the concept of smart city. Northeastern seaboard blackout in 2003, Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans in 2006, where major parts of a major North American city were without power for over 9 months. Just think about that. And New York in 2012. Of course, major parts of New York were without power for 9 weeks. A little bit different than 9 months, but still pretty staggering when you think it's New York that we're talking about. And of course, Toronto in 2013, we had our own ice storm, our own particular brand of hell without power because it was in the dead of winter. So we believe that sustainable design is simple. It's about putting the right amount of the right material in the right place. It's as simple as that. You notice that there was nothing technological in there. There's no talk of electricity, there's no talk of data, there's no talk of artificial intelligence. None of that applies to buildings in their functioning state, in my opinion. Where we use big data and artificial intelligence is in gathering the information that we use as the knowledge with which to design the building. We apply the technology to the design of the building, not to the operation of the building, and I think that's an important distinction. And how we're now looking at making buildings in the 21st century is quite different. We're using a lot of passive technologies, working with nature rather than against nature, and this is making buildings much more simple again. The passive house principles that we apply in all the work that we do are 3 issues in 3 locations. The 3 issues are make the building airtight, make it well insulated, manage the ventilation, and do that on all the exterior surfaces of the building, all 6 sides of the box, and you've pretty much done your job. Passive solar design, here's an example right here in the city of Toronto. This is an adaptive retrofit of an Art Deco masterpiece designed by one of the architects who worked on Maple Leaf Gardens. And our job was to bring it up to 21st century sustainability standards. And the largest face of this house was facing south, or still is, and we used passive shading techniques on the south side of this house, as well as many other passive solar strategies. As architects, we want to make the architecture do all the work that formerly all those energy-consuming mechanicals did.
So some other considerations to think about is you can do smart city, you can do smart building, you can do all these digital transformation initiatives, but you have to have a strong backbone of a good network. Without a good network, without good connectivity, all these great projects will not be possible. So something to think about is when you're planning for your future cities or your future buildings, or any of the digital transformation that you want to do with your organization, ensure that you have a good backbone and a good network.
So why am I here, at least at Metrolinx, and speaking to you this morning, is from the climate resiliency perspective, recognizing that we've actually had a number of different climate events that have affected Metrolinx in recent years, not just the 2013 flood on July 8th, but also an ice storm, which was mentioned earlier. We've had snow events, as well as heat, which affects track in terms of warping and sun kinks and creates problems and requires us to issue snow orders and the like. So there are a number of different things about climate extremes that we are already experiencing, and what can we expect in the future. And this is just drawn from some work that was done for Metrolinx through Engineers Canada and a number of other consultants, TRCA, AECOM, and Risk Sciences International, who looked at temperature, cooling, heating degree days, and precipitation, and how this is all going to change over the next 50 to 80 years. Quite a substantive change in terms of what we've experienced in the past in terms of these climate events. So you can just look at, on the left, temperature, extreme hot days. We typically have 7 or 8 based on the 1980 to 81 to 2010 baseline, and that's going to go up to 51 just on average, let alone the extreme of the averages over the next 80 years. So quite a substantive shift in terms of what we need to be looking at in terms of operating this transit system under those conditions. So as part of our sustainability strategy at Metrolinx, we have 5 goals, of which goal 1 is for us to become climate resilient. And to support that work, we've actually done some analysis working with AECOM, TRCA, and Risk Sciences International to look at Engineers Canada's PIVC, Public Infrastructure Engineering Vulnerability Committee protocol to look at climate vulnerability for some of our key assets. For the most part, information by itself is insufficient to make good informed decisions. That given some of the uncertainty around climate information, and certainly the uncertainty around our ability to monitor and report on our asset conditions, expert judgment is still a crucial role to play. Moving forward, there's certainly a role for AI and big data. We're definitely moving in that direction, and I have no reason to believe that we won't continue to do so. But I would still argue the need for expert judgment is not going away and may become even more important as we try to bring together these big amounts of information from the climate to the impacts and what does this mean in terms of adaptive management.